Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. This is the Finance Committee meeting of April 4th, 2022. In attendance, we have Michael Bennett, Cheryl Zarella Burke, John Smalling, Todd Dargy, and myself, Tom Connolly. We will not have minutes this evening. I could maybe I missed them, but I could not find them, so I'm going to defer a vote until next week. Linda is traveling, so she'll be minuting us this week by recording, by doing the minutes after we've had this meeting, and then we'll take votes on both weeks' minutes next week. So first up, we do have Scott Materna on discussion of his wage line. Scott?
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks.
So for Scott's, I did a presentation, just a Excel sheet. I'm gonna see if I can share it so that Scott can, and unfortunately he won't be able to see it.
Mm-hmm.
But when Scott presented his budget, he had asked, he had presented it with his part-time custodian and 2 summer helpers, but then he had also asked to drop the part-time custodian and go to 2 summer helpers and the 2 summer helpers and just go to 1 full-time custodial worker. So Scott, do you want to speak to that, how that would be more advantageous for you?
Sure. So currently, the cleaning is spread out amongst all of my guys, which we have the summer guys for a limited time of the year. The part-time cleaner hasn't really worked out so well recently. And so what it does is it restricts us. We spend a good part of our morning cleaning, and by the time the cleaning's done, it's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and then we're able to start pulling tools out to do projects. If we had a full-time cleaner, we could help them with a little bit of cleaning in the morning, and then after the early morning hours have gone by, maybe it's 8 o'clock now, we can start pulling tools out instead of getting rolling at noon just to shut down at 2. So I think we'll get a lot more done that way.
All right. So I did his budget both ways, one with the part-time custodian and 2 summer helpers, and then with the just the custodial worker. So the craftsman position and the maintenance custodian are the same. So all I did is took out part-time workers and the 2 summer helpers and put in the custodial worker. The overtime and the on-call stipend stayed the same. So the difference comes down to with the part-time worker and the summer help, it's $130,145 he would need. And with the full-time custodial worker, it would be $137,230. So it's only a $7,085 difference in the budgets. And I know he's been looking for extra help trying to find ways to make this all work better. So I wanted to, I asked him to come in and present this to you so you'd be able to see it.
Great, thank you. Questions from the committee? Scott, do you lose any flex? I know that with the market the way it is right now, finding part-time workers is really hard because everybody who wants a job's got a job, it seems right now. Do you lose any flexibility in scheduling by going to all full-timers?
No, actually, I think we probably gain more because the part-timer, he's only there from 6 in the morning until 9 in the morning or 10 in the morning. Yeah. So he doesn't give us any flexibility as far as work for the rest of the day. So having a full-timer there actually gives us a little bit more flexibility throughout the course of the day instead of just the morning. So I think it probably actually adds a little bit of flexibility.
Okay, and you won't have extra summer help if you go this way, right?
Right, but the summer help, I mean, it looks good in theory because they're fairly inexpensive labor. Yeah. But they also have no skin in the game. Right. They know it's a summer job and they treat it as such. It's if you're seeing them painting, they have one hand in their pocket and one hand on the brush, and they just kind of looking around, and the brush is moving. So I think I want I think would be better served with somebody that is relying on this for their everyday money.
I mean, this seems to make sense. Any other questions or discussion from the committee before we take it to a vote? Okay, roll call vote then. Michael? Yeah. John?
No, I was saying, yeah, sorry, I'm a little in the dark, just not having the screen, but what
Oh, you're
we're
right,
deciding
sorry.
on is between just the $7,000 difference, and I understand what the difference is for, but that's kind of what we're trying to decide on right now, just the $7,000 full-time
John.
versus the,
Yes.
okay, all right.
So we go
good.
full-time custodial, or sorry, we should do a little portraying here. A full-time custodial worker would be substituted for a current part-timer and elimination of the summer help positions. So there is a $7,000 difference here in bringing a full-timer in.
Thanks.
All right. So a roll call vote. Michael?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
And myself is a yes, so it carries, if this makes sense. Thank you, Scott. I think we're good on that. Thanks very much.
All right, thank you.
See, I think next up, I see Alan Diaz is here. So it was regarding I think a discussion that we had last week on a reserve fund transfer. Alan?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman. I'm trying to get my video, but I'm not sure how to do that. Let me see.
You had it, went on and off.
Okay,
There you are.
good. Okay. Mr. Chairman, I listened in on the meeting a week or so ago and found that you guys were willing to make a $12,000 transfer to the building department to demolish a structure on Monpont Street. And I felt a little uncomfortable with that because I have been involved with the declaration of homes that are uninhabitable and the process to get rid of those. And so doing some little research, I'm finding that, I don't know what's on the screen, but that the property is owned by an individual. From what I understand, the taxes are current or will be current. And I'm finding that a $12,000 transfer to tear the property down doesn't set very well with me as a taxpayer. If you're going to spend $12,000 to secure the property, so be it, put a lien on the property. So what I'm asking the Finance Committee is to reconsider that vote. I believe the building inspector made the request. I have not spoken with the building inspector at all. But I think that $12,000 can be better spent someplace else. Plus, the Board of Selectmen has the ability through ARPA funds, if they chose to, if they still want to continue to demolish the house, that would be up to them. To me, that's going to trigger a gigantic lawsuit for the town just to come in, tear somebody's property down. But that would be my concern is, the lawsuit that's going to come afterwards. And if the selectmen so feel that it needs to come down, let them use the ARPA money and save the $12,000 for other areas that we're definitely going to need come June or July 1st.
Mr. Diaz, I appreciate your coming to the committee tonight to voice your concern. I'd have maybe a couple of comments, and then I'd ask the rest of the committee if you'd like to weigh in. First, our scope is limited to not due process on whether the property comes down or not, but merely to the source of funding for that. So that would be point one. I will leave it to Chief Riveros and the building inspector, both of whom are acting on advice of counsel and being led through the process by outside counsel to ensure that we give the homeowner due process. The taxes are not up to date, and the site is an attractive nuisance in the sense that it's a safety hazard, and on that basis, we have an obligation to the town to cure that problem. Whether the money comes from reserve fund transfer or from ARPA is basically there's a couple of issues there. First, if we do it from reserve fund transfer, as we have done it in the past in similar cases, we would put a lien on the property and we would recover the $12,000 if that were made available to us, either through the sale of the property subsequently, or through some other action by the homeowner. So we would get the money back. Doing it through ARPA would be a long and involved process because it actually is not what ARPA is designated for. So the advice we have from council is that this is the proper way for us to proceed. And the question of whether it comes down is left to others. This committee is merely authorizing the funds to be done if due process is followed and it is done in the proper way. So I don't think it makes sense for us to reconsider the vote, but I want to open it up to the rest of the committee if you have any comments or questions for Mr. Diaz's proposal.
I think you've said it all, Tom, as to the way we function versus what he's looking for.
Yeah, so I think we're going to leave it stand as it is, Mr. Diaz. I appreciate your time tonight, but I don't see us reopening that vote.
Okay, point very well taken. Thank you for your consideration.
Sure, thanks very much.
Yep.
Next on the agenda, but I propose to move it to the end so that we don't take up others' time, is a brief executive session. That'll be to discuss strategy with regard to collective bargaining, but we'll move that to the end. It'll be, I think, very short. We had an update from Ashley last week. So instead, move on to the budget. I think we are not only close to the end, but we are down to the wire. So we need to make a decision this evening on what basically the remaining votes that we have, the school vote being the outstanding one. So I think, can you share your screen, Sandy, so that we can refresh people's?
Do that. There we go. Okay, so we just have a few lines. And unfortunately, I don't think I can edit in the OneDrive. So I'm having a little trouble there. And again, I can't get, oh, let's see. It's not moving.
Look at it.
At all. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, if you can click edit workbook, I think you'll be able to open this. Is read only currently, but you should be able to.
It's not letting me edit anything.
Not letting you do it. Okay.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Oh, this is frustrating. Hang on. Let's see.
Top tab. There you are.
Yeah, no, it won't.
Won't let you edit.
I can't move it up either.
Yeah, it won't let me scroll at all. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know what's wrong with that. Because I was able to
Try
scroll
again.
on the building. See, I could do it on that
yeah,
one.
there you go.
All right, I'm gonna try going back in
Okay.
the OneDrive and opening it. Let me see. I will close that one.
If you can't, maybe,
I will go back in. Okay, let's see.
that one's not read only. You should be able, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
There we go.
Good.
All right. So we made the vote on the town building wages. You voted that at the 137, 230. So I will, no, it's not.
Then
letting me
We'll
do
edit
that.
that.
Oh, let me edit it, but that's all right. I will fill that in for next week. The elementary school costs. Now I checked these figures with the budget that's submitted by the Silver Lake to go into the warrant, and these are all the correct figures.
Okay.
So elementary school costs at $6,006,890.
So if I could give an overview on this, because the school committee was my liaison assignment. So maybe just a quick overview here. I'm using rough numbers because we have Sandy's up on the screen. So rather than get into the individual line items, but with respect to the elementary school, if we take out the special education transportation issue, the budget goes up a bit on two things that I personally felt, and that not by a lot, that I felt were important. And that was one was textbooks, and the other was student health. And with the sort of post-COVID burden and things like that, they were going up by just a little bit, each of those, and there were offsetting items in the budget for those two increases to the elementary school budget. What has gone up and what I'm advised they are continuing to work on is the 300,000 plus increase in special education transportation, which is entirely due to this situation of one vendor leaving the market and us being left with a single vendor. We have asked that for the proposal for them to consider sharing with the Council on Aging, with sharing their resources. They're, I hope, looking into that. I'm advised that they're trying to work on all kinds of different options for that. But absent that, they have done what we've asked, which is to bring the budget in at flat funding, not flat services, which in the inflationary times it ran implies that services somewhere will probably be cut this year, but they've come in with a flat budget. So that's a quick summary on the elementary school. On the Silver Lake assessment, that too is going up by about $300,000 and 267 as we see here. And again, just about everything is flat in the budget. I kind of gave up on this one because we're not going to win this year. We could vote no, but we're still going to have a levy from Silver Lake because the Kingston and Plimpton ends of this will vote in favor. Plimpton's is a lot smaller than ours. Kingston will vote for the larger. They're a much larger town with more resources. So the budget's going up about, well, here it is, $680,000 next year. And half of it is the Silver Lake assessment. The other half is this special needs transportation item. But I have to say, in respect of both, on the operating budget, they've done a very good job of trying to keep things flat and find offsets where they can. But these two things are, that the largest one, of course, being this $317,000 that you see here in the transportation budget.
That's outrageous.
It is, and I hope that we'll continue to try and work with them on getting that, getting options for that. There has to be an alternative to it, whether it's somehow internalized or we find another vendor. But at this late hour, we're left with not a lot of options other than to kind of put them in a position to do what they have to do. They can't cut the service, so we've got to provide for it.
Right.
Comments from the committee or other questions before we take this to a vote? Vote your conscience, everybody. I know that this is a tough issue. So let me call a roll call vote and put Michael on the spot first.
Thanks. I don't see us as having much choice other than to say yes.
Okay. Cheryl?
Yeah, I go the same. We don't have much choice. And me as a senior citizen who has no children in this school system, grandchildren or otherwise, I have to go with yes.
Okay. But someday these kids may be taking care of you in our old age. So maybe we can just hope that we're doing the right thing in that regard. Todd?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And myself is a yes. So this carries. Thank you,
Was
Sandy.
that for the whole group or just the first one?
I'm sorry, I was proposing a vote for the entire, and
I thought so. I just wanted to make.
I need a, I'm sorry, we need a do over here. Could I have a motion to accept the school's
school
budget
budget as
as
presented.
proposed?
So moved.
Second, Thank you.
Second,
let's do that vote over again. Sorry. Cheryl,
yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And myself is a yes. Okay, thank you. Sorry for the
That's all right. I
procedural
think
error there,
that
guys.
Cleans up everything that was left on the operating budget.
Okay.
So I'm going to move over to the articles.
Okay.
Okay. So far, we only have one of the contract articles that we have an amount on. The rest are not, so I don't know whether you want to leave these because they haven't been fully explained by the selectmen yet.
Hmm.
Or recommend at town meeting.
I propose that we wait.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think it's how we're gonna have to handle it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just going to put it like that.
That's great.
All right.
Other articles, Sandy?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, thanks.
So
Okay.
then we had the two water articles. So water is looking for a new service truck for $57,000. Bill did come in and talk to you about that.
Mhm.
And then the water department phase 2 of the upgrades, which is for $520,000. This money would all come from water retained earnings.
Mm,
So do you want to vote on those two articles?
Yes, I wanted to see, is there any comment from the committee on both of those? So just to be advised for folks who are on the committee for the first year, there's a separate P&L for the water department. So these are self-funded from the water department's P&L.
right.
Right.
Could I, if any
just had-
questions on the service truck? We did get a discussion on that, Todd?
No questions on the service truck, but I just had a question on the second item, the phase 2 of the upgrades.
Yes.
I guess, is this the final phase, I guess, or like, and then what does the phase consist of, I guess?
I don't believe it is the final phase, but they have an engineer who's been working out. It's actually a long, and I'm trying to remember if it was a 5-year or more plan. Eventually, they're going to need a filter plant at the Y camp, but for now, what they're doing is upgrading the filter plant at the Richmond Park and upgrading all the chemical and all the other tech equipment at the Y
The Y.
camp.
Right.
I want to say 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, they did phase 1 for the same amount, 520,000. They were fixing roofs on the buildings, taking out the big chemical tanks and putting in new ones that worked better. This year, they were concentrating on the generators and the electricity and upgrading all the systems. Part of this, they're hoping to get some of the money from ARPA. We have made an application. And if they get the ARPA money and they have money left in this article, they will use it for the next phase.
Okay, well,
But it's all working towards the upgrade of our water treatment plants so that we can hopefully figure out what the issue is with the water going on.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Cindy.
Other comments or questions?
no,
Let's put could I ask for a vote then on first, let's do these separately, please. Line 29 for new service truck, motion to approve.
Motion?
second,
Okay, and a roll call vote. Michael,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Cheryl,
yes.
John,
Yes.
and myself is a yes. The motion carries. And then second, a vote, could I ask for a vote or a motion to approve line 30 for the water department upgrades for phase 2?
So
So
moved.
moved. Oh, second,
Thank you. And a roll call vote. Todd,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
and myself is a yes. That one carries.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, then we can come to the intercom system for the elementary school. Now, I did make a couple of phone calls about this. I did not get any information back from Matt Durkee. I was hoping to find out what the condition was on the intercom system we currently have, but I can read their request to you. So the system they're looking to buy will tie into the district-wide system for paging. It will have emergency buttons to push, which can activate a pre-recorded message giving instructions, creating class bell schedules, will be a click and dial process, allows, or it will auto update. So correct times, the correct time is always in all the buildings, so that everything it will tie together with the other one. I do not know the condition of the current system, so I can't help you with that.
Well, it sounds more like it's not because the old system is bad.
Mhm.
It's additional features, functionality that
Right.
in the event of an emergency, they can quickly from either the administration building or at the local school, start an emergency procedure in action.
Right.
So it's more of an upgrade in the intercom system to provide more safety and that kind of thing.
Right.
As well
I
as
believe
the
that's
time.
true. I did talk to the business manager today. She said that each building is in a different stage. She said that one of the Kingston schools has upgraded. She said one is putting it on their town, the other one is on their town meeting for this year. Plimpton is hoping to be able to do theirs with leftover funds at the end of the year. And she was also not sure the condition of our current system. This one was not recommended by capital planning. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
So what was capital planning's rationale, Todd or Sandy?
It was felt that it wasn't a priority, but at the time we were also short on capital funds. We will have, and this is included in the figure, if everything is approved, we will have $87,000 left over in capital in the free cash. If everything is approved with the funding sources that I've put in, so.
Todd, was there any other discussion at capital planning that we should be aware of?
No, it's exactly what Sandy said. I mean, the only other thing I would add is just when we talked about it in detail, we looked at it as like a, nice to have versus,
Versus necessary.
yeah, exactly.
I
It just seems like a lot of money as well. It's, it does have the bells and whistles, but is it really, worth, almost $40,000?
Yeah, but those bells and whistles are also safety features. They're not just cool things that it can do.
Yeah, I mean, when it was presented, the safety features wasn't it was more of the integration with the district system and the calendar updates and times and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. So, does it make sense? Well, I guess we're pressed for time, I guess, too, right? But it wouldn't be a bad idea, I guess, to maybe have, I forget who presented it previously, but to have them come back, maybe speak to the details, but.
Is this one that we could, it's going to be presented at the ATM, right, Sandy?
Mm-hmm. And
I mean,
certainly we can ask them to come back in and speak to it. I can ask Matt Durkee, who is the Director of Building Maintenance for Silver Lake, if he can come back in and speak to you on it. And
I think it'd be prudent to do
recommend
that.
at town meeting.
Yeah. Now they've already picked vendors and everything, right? So
do
we are
have a vendor,
integrating.
yes. So we got a price Actually, he got an updated price quote. So he has Norel Service Company is the vendor. And the amount that they quoted at the time is $38,793.51, which I rounded up to $38,008. So,
Committee, I would suggest, based on last year, we are going to get questions about the bidding process and about the selection of the vendor and
Mhm.
all of that. So if we
Yep,
had
that's
Matt
my
come back,
question.
we could educate ourselves better on what the process was that they've used. I personally think just on safety alone, this probably, and the fact that it's probably Wi-Fi and not hardwired and it's internet based and they've got that interconnectivity between the schools.
mhm.
It makes a lot of sense, but we should probably at least be informed about what the selection process was.
Right. So do you want this to be a recommended town meeting?
That's the only way we're gonna be able to get, unless we can have Matt come back. Have we got time? We don't have time, right?
I sent an email, I left a voicemail asking if he had time to contact me. He did not contact me today.
Okay,
We have to have something printed in the warrant for Thursday, so.
I did have, just going back and looking at my notes from when he came in, and he did state that it was the lowest of 3 quotes that they received, so. There was
Okay.
mention too of a 15% increase if not committed by February. So I don't know.
Right, and that was a second quote that he has sent me, which was dated March 14th. So that was an updated quote after the meeting that we had, Todd.
did
Okay,
it go up? Did it go up or down?
It went up, not 15% though.
yeah, it was 38,322, so it only went up, what, 500?
Oh, 500 bucks.
$500,
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, there's no guarantee again, but hopefully he's built in something in there. I would suggest recommended town meeting if you're uncomfortable with it. We
Committee, what do
haven't
you
done
think?
that to a lot of articles, so
Yeah, we don't have a lot of them, but
no.
maybe we can get some more data. Committee, what do you think?
Yeah, I think recommending a town meeting would be fine. That way we have time to get more info.
Right, that works for me too, Tom.
Okay, good. Let's go with that.
All right. Article 37 is, last year we did any leftover free cash was appropriated to the stabilization fund. This year, there was a discussion about, instead of the stabilization fund, putting it into the pension account to help lower our pension increases for the next few years. Again, we talked about they are trying to fully fund the pension by 2030.
Mhm.
And this is something that other towns are doing so that it helps to absorb some of that and will be fully funded quicker so that we don't keep seeing the $100,000 increases on our pension account. Right now, like I told you, we have about 87,000. So it says the article will say a sum of money. Again, I'm not sure that we can recommend it at this time without having an amount in there. So you may
Yeah.
want to say recommended town meeting.
Town meeting, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
If it's Sandy, what happens to that 87,000? Where does it go if we don't spend it all? Does it come back into capital or go to?
Actually,
go?
it will, it goes back into the general fund. It will be closed out to free cash again.
Okay, back to free cash.
All right.
Okay.
The next is.
I want to make sure there's consensus on that though. Anyone? Well, I don't think we have a choice. We can't do a blank check.
No.
No,
Okay.
So
Yep,
the
good.
next article is some amendments that the police chief has suggested to the dog and other animals bylaw amendments. Now, you have not seen these articles.
No.
Actually, Article 38, 39. Those two definitely you guys haven't seen. There's wording in there that I think he's updating the rabies. I remember I helped him write the article. I think that maybe this is something you're gonna have to see it too. Again, it's gonna have to be a recommendation at town meeting. There's no money value to that one. There is no money value to the stormwater bylaw amendment,
Hmm.
which is, they're just cleaning up the language to agree to, yeah. We're
And
trying
do we
to
have
get it to
any,
go
do we have
forward
any,
state.
I know jurisdiction's not the wrong word, the right word, but do we have any purview here? There's no
It's-
financial impact.
No, there's no financial impact, and your recommendation can be, taken with a grain of salt, because again, we have no purview. But the bylaws state that FinCom will make a recommendation on every
Okay,
article, so.
so let's do it at town meeting, because
Yeah.
there's really there's no
Yeah.
money involved here.
Right.
So the next one, the fire chief has proposed this, the holidays in Halifax celebration every Christmas time, every Christmas season.
Mhm.
Mhm.
The fire chief is an automatic member of this committee. He is submitting wording to take himself out of the picture and make it 5 members at large. I think it's become a little burdensome, and he would rather not have it under his purview.
Thanks.
So,
Okay.
I don't know if you want to wait and talk to him. I don't know.
No,
that- I
is he
know
the,
that
is he the
John-
chair? I mean, he still has an obligation to
Yes.
keep us safe during holidays,
Right,
right, during the
Absolutely,
celebration, but
absolutely.
that doesn't change.
right,
But he doesn't
I
have to
think that-
throw the party to supervise it, right?
right. Right, and I think that it became his purview when we had someone who was donating fireworks. So it was something that really had to come under him.
Mm.
But we don't get those donations anymore. They were actually done in honor of one of our past select persons.
Mhm.
And we do not get those donations anymore. So there are no fireworks at the at holidays in Halifax at this point anyways. And if there were, he would still be part of the whole decision
He
process.
still has
Right.
responsibility there. Okay.
Right. So
So do
I
we
don't know if you want
leave
to
it
take a vote on that.
at recommended town meeting, folks? Again, there's
Yeah.
no
Yeah, there's
financial
no-
consequence
Yeah.
here.
Absolutely.
All right. The Halifax Housing Authority repayment.
We
This one
have
you
a
might
housing-
remember.
We have a housing authority?
Yes, we do.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Up on
Great.
Parsons Lane off of Route 58 in
Hmm.
Halifax, there's a housing authority.
And do we have senior housing here?
Yes, we do. Yep.
Where is that?
On Parsons Lane, right off of 58. You know where Grill 58 is?
Yeah,
Sort of across the street, not the condos, but
Not
the
the
next
condos.
group down
Right.
is senior
Okay.
housing.
okay.
right. They had an employee who was also an employee of the towns. The Plymouth County Retirement Association stated that they took more money from the housing authority for retirement for this employee than they were supposed to. It was supposed to come from the town. This has been on the warrant for the last 2 or 3 years. Charlie was supposed to be trying to verify the figures. It never got very far. I did talk to Ed, who is good friends with the person at the housing authority, and he was going to find out for me. I still heard nothing back on this. It's $22,057. I have no way of verifying myself. They cannot get the money back from Plymouth County. Plymouth County will not give them the money back. They said, go to Halifax and get it from them. I know. So, so it's either a recommend, don't recommend. Ed might say pass it over because he hasn't been able to verify it. But that's the information I have on it right now.
Well, I mean, I think it would be irresponsible on the basis of that data
Mhm.
for us to say, I'm sure it stinks because I'm sure the number is right. And it sounds like we'd be doing the right thing,
Right.
but this should be a recommended town meeting and then
Okay.
see what Ed advises. Anybody have a different view?
No.
None.
Let's leave it at that then.
Okay. Let's see. The next article, it's coming back up. Last year, Gordon proposed a 5-member Board of Selectmen. It failed at last year's town meeting, but this year, the whole select board the select board voted to recommend this, to put it back on the warrant. I don't know necessarily to recommend it, but to put it back on the warrant.
Do we have a number?
There's no figure to it. Well, actually, I shouldn't say
It
that.
Has
would
to
have
be.
to be.
Yes.
Yeah, they
It
get
has to be.
$1,500 a year, so it would be a $3,000 increase.
Okay.
$3,000 increase.
Okay.
And I suppose I should put that on there.
Yeah.
I don't know that it would happen right away because we don't have that many people. Like the positions aren't being run for this. So it may not have an actual impact this year. It may not actually have an impact until 2024, FY24.
But our vote here, I just want to check this,
What
because
happened?
our vote here is about the $3,000, not about the wisdom of a 5-member board.
Well, actually,
I
no,
think
it's
it's
not about
both.
the $3,000 because it wouldn't be 3,000 for, and it would not be $3,000 for FY23.
Same question then, even stronger.
So
Right?
it's
There's no financial impact here. I know as citizens, we each have a point of view on this. As finance committee members, our only point of view is about the
Money.
money, right?
right.
Okay, so I think if we're in agreement there, then, we'll have our red and green cards to hold up during our vote as citizens on ATM, but
So I'll just put no recommendation.
yeah.
Okay. I thought that'd come out right, but I'll figure it out when I go back to this.
Okay.
The next is a petition article that is on the marijuana establishment limits.
I thought we
There's-
did that. Didn't we do
Yeah, so-
that last time?
So these are petition articles. They've been brought in by individuals who have gathered names. There's one on the special and there's one on this that wants to limit the number of marijuana establishments to 2. They're worded slightly different. I haven't read enough into it because I haven't had a chance to. But again, you haven't been read in on it. We haven't heard anything from the selectmen, so I think it would have to be a recommended town meeting.
Agree.
Okay.
Okay. The 5G policy, we did hear from the attorney that this was meant to be a policy and not a bylaw. So that, therefore, it would not
And
be
what
on
is
the
it?
town meeting. So that's going to come off.
What is the proposal, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, what is 5G
I
policy?
can forward it to you. It's a policy about where they go and about the noise, if this fan's cooling them and all of that. It's pretty long. So I'm glad it's coming out of town meeting.
Good.
Okay.
For the
um,
Halifax International Airport, to make sure we don't have interference.
That's
Yeah.
right. The Article 45 is the Silver Lake stabilization account. This is the same article that came up last year.
Mm-mm.
Silver Lake would like to establish a stabilization account. If they
Mhm.
establish the stabilization account, there is a question as if it would be like part of their budget. And I think that this would be a really good thing to try to get Jill and Christine into one of your meetings to discuss. Would it be part of their budget? Would we be held to it if 2 out of the 3 communities voted it and we did not? If we said we couldn't afford to put that money in to fund it?
Right.
But once that money goes
Yeah,
into the
others.
stabilization account, then it can be
Theirs.
spent by the Silver Lake School Committee.
Right.
No.
It does not have to come back to the towns to be spent.
Right.
So I don't know how you feel about it, if you want to make a recommendation now, or if you want to wait.
Well, I don't think we have enough data. I mean, this came up last year, as Cheryl has mentioned here, and we voted against it. So I don't see unless a new case is being built for it. Maybe it's a recommended town meeting at this point. We have new members, so here or there. But I know there was concerns expressed last year that we have little enough control over regional school budget.
Yeah, we don't give them any more money.
This will make it, this will make it tougher.
Yeah,
Right.
we wouldn't do that.
I
So
would
then-
agree with that point of view.
Okay,
Yeah,
John.
I as well.
Okay.
So do you want to make it does not recommend?
Not recommend.
Let me, let's do a roll call vote on this. Can I get a motion to not recommend line 45 for stabilization account that's separate from the budget for Silver Lake?
So moved.
Second,
Thank you. And a roll call vote, Cheryl?
yes. I mean, wait, I
Well,
gotta
no,
think.
you're
No,
agreeing.
not recommended.
It's a vote to not recommend, which means yes is a not recommend.
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
and myself is a yes. So that motion carries to not recommend a separate stabilization account for Silver Lake.
Okay, and you don't make a vote on the election. That happens when you go
Anyway,
and pull your warrant. I mean, pull your ballot. So let me see if I can get into, I just have to move this. The faces are in my way. All right, here we go. Now we're on to the special town meeting.
Okay.
Okay. We have, which you have already talked about, the 1.6 for the patrol officers for FY21. And I believe you had already voted on this.
We did.
All right. And for wage and personnel, the 1% for FY22, and highway and cemetery, the 1% for
We did.
FY22. Okay. Article 4 is putting money back into the retiree medical bills. This is $4,410.72, which I accidentally or erroneously put back into the general fund last year, which got turned into free cash. So I'm asking to take it from free cash and put it into the retiree medical bills. We
So
do
we're
have,
just rectifying we're rectifying an accounting
Yes.
error.
absolutely.
Okay. I mean, Sandy's fallible.
Oh yeah, believe me. You want to take a vote on that?
Yes. So could I ask for a motion to correct this accounting error?
second, second,
Thank you. And a roll call vote, Cheryl,
yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
and myself is a yes.
Okay, the next is special needs transportation. They have, they are looking at about a $234,000 deficit this year on their special needs transportation. We would like to cover 200,000 of it through free cash. One of the reasons is because if we don't do that, the way they have to move around money, they'll be taking money from their circuit breaker grant that they actually want to use for next year's special ed tuition. And using it, it will impact that grant money, and there wouldn't be as much to spend for the special needs transportation. What years ago, when we asked them to split out and show the special needs tuition and transportation, we had promised that if they were hit by something unusual like this, that the town would do its best to help them so that it wouldn't impact their operating budgets and then put them in a huge hole at the end of the year. So this is sort of following through on that agreement. And
Yes.
it is recommended by myself, by Gordon, in doing this, giving them the 200,000 for the special needs transportation for next year. They were able to lower their special needs tuition budget by 163,000. So it helped us out for FY23.
So
I'm
Sandy,
confused.
could you explain how juxtapose this 200 against the 367 increase that's in the operating budget? How do those two work together?
So the 367 is for FY23 charges. This 200 is going towards FY22 charges. We've already seen the increase in the transportation amount.
Yeah.
They're saying that by the end of this year, by June, we will be 234,000 in the deficit. They have ways to get the 34,000. So we're asking at this point to just do the 200,000.
Jeez.
Jesus Christ.
I know.
So, okay,
That's
so to paraphrase,
$551,000 in transportation.
yes,
For 2 years, though,
yes.
it's not good. It's
That's
definitely not
outrageous.
good. But it's something, again, this special needs transportation is mandated by the state. This is something
Right.
we have to do. Because of COVID, a lot of the companies we use dropped out. Some of our runs that were was costing us $300 a day went up to $600 a day. So
Right.
these are huge increases that the school has had to absorb. So the town is it's really the town's responsibility,
Yeah.
according to the state.
I mean, this is the first time we're seeing it, but it's logical that the extortion that we're getting from the travel company doesn't coincide with our fiscal year, right? So they've upped these prices on us earlier in the year, and so this is the consequence of that for FY22.
It is. It certainly is.
So is
Any
the fiscal,
comments from the committee? But Todd, go ahead.
yeah, sorry, Tom, just a quick question. So for the fiscal year 23, I guess that figure's locked in, I guess, or is there a risk that we're gonna end up with a shortfall there as well?
So that figure went up 300,000. So she is looking at, the business manager is looking at worst case scenario for the number that she gave us. She is working very hard to find alternate ways of transportation, seeing what we can do to bring that number down. I did write a memo today to her just to ask her if she could try to facilitate those ways, so sort of get us information before town meeting so we can actually bring the number down before town meeting so that we wouldn't be absorbing it. We wouldn't be having to charge the taxpayers, but we won't know until she can get, one of the companies we use, Vanpool, said they think they can pick up some of the runs that are costing us so much money.
Mhm.
If that happens, that price can come down, but they have not committed to that, so she can't bring it down yet. If we can get a commitment by May, before May 9th, then we'll be able to bring that number down before town meeting, which would be wonderful.
I'm just curious, couldn't each town transport their special needs students separately? No? Has to be all together?
No, they're not all together.
No,
They're
this
not
is
all together.
HES. This is the HES budget, Cheryl.
Right, and this is
Good for
special
them.
needs students who are out of district. They're not going to Silver Lake. They're not going within our district. They're going to Randolph for,
So we
other,
have to
you know,
pay for that, right? Okay.
Yes.
Right. and we
Yeah.
have to pay for that. So,
Mm-mm-mm.
But Todd, you raise a good point, and we should ask the question about whether the 367 is truly the high watermark contractually, or whether we're exposed there.
Yeah, I just
So-
have concerns if we,
Yeah.
pay the 200,000 now, that another, 100,000 or something pop
Right.
up again next year.
well, I think it is the high watermark. That's what she led us to believe when she talked to us. I believe that that is the high watermark. That's her like worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And she has to put it in there so that we would have it. So that I
It was
do.
clearly she didn't for fiscal 22. This was a surprise,
Right.
which I think is what Todd is
Right.
asking is, do
Exactly.
we have another
right, yeah.
surprise coming next year?
Yeah.
I don't.
So
believe-
even the question of, why was this unanticipated? And then can we be sure that the 367 is a high
Right.
water mark? That's really what,
I think
We need
it's,
to know.
because FY22, we were still dealing with repercussions from the
from
pandemic
COVID.
with, the people who went out of business because things changed so drastically.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, could I ask for a motion to approve this contribution to special needs transportation, the school budget, per a commitment that we made that we would help cover this?
So moved.
Second?
Second,
Okay, roll call vote. Michael,
Yes.
Cheryl,
yes.
Todd,
Yes,
John,
Yes.
and myself is yes.
the next article, Article 6, is for the voting tabulator. This is, Sue talked to you about this
Yes.
because the state has made us into 3 precincts. We need a new
Right.
tabulator.
Right.
So $5,700 is the amount.
Okay, we have no choice. We have to buy a third voting tabulator
Right.
because we now have 3 districts. Any questions or comments? Okay, let's put it, could I ask for a motion to approve Article 6?
So
So
moved.
moved. Second,
Okay, roll call vote. Michael,
Yes.
Cheryl,
yes.
John,
Yes.
Todd,
yes,
and myself is a yes.
Okay, Article 7 is for unemployment. We're asking for $20,000. We actually hope to get that out of the leftover money in the veterans benefits line for unemployment, towards our unemployment. When someone collects unemployment, the town is responsible for half of it. We have, we put it in occasionally when we need it at a town meeting or a special town meeting. We did go through quite a bit. We have some obligations. And Linda and I, after discussing it, felt that we could use $20,000 in it for next year.
Do we have a balance?
I do not have it. I'm sorry, I did
Balance,
not
okay.
bring that number.
But there's some positive balance there, and this would
We
be
do
to
have a positive balance currently, yes.
but this is your prudent estimate of what we need to refund that
Yes.
account.
Yep.
Okay, I mean, if we don't use it, then it sits there.
It sits there. This is an article, it's a special fund, and the money stays in the unemployment fund. So if we don't use it this year, we use it next
Use it
year, or the
next
year
year.
after. And we only fund it when we feel that there's a need for it.
Okay. So could any questions or comments on this, folks?
Mhm.
Okay, could I ask for a motion to approve? Oh, go ahead. Sorry, John.
Sorry. What's the process or repercussion if we don't fund it and then we need it? Is it that special town meeting thing or?
Yeah, it would have to go to a special town meeting, I believe, to fund it, because it's a whole separate fund. So we're taking
Yeah.
from the general fund and putting it into the unemployment fund, which is a special revenue fund. So I believe that would need to be done at a town meeting. So it would be hard to hold a special town meeting.
That would
just
be
for
ugly.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
And we don't really necessarily. All right, no, I'm good. Thank you.
all right.
So let me ask again for a motion to approve Article 7.
So moved,
Second. Thank you. Roll call vote. Cheryl,
yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Todd,
yes,
John,
Yes.
and myself is a yes. Thank you.
This year, we did end up with a deficit in our snow and ice account. We haven't done that for very many years. I checked it this morning. We are at a deficit of 9,400 and some change. I think we'll be able to bring this number down. I put in 15,000 in case there's any bills that still have yet to come through. But the snow and ice account is the one account that the state allows you to go into a deficit.
Mhm.
If we do not fund it here, we have to fund it on the tax recap, and it gets added to the tax on top of the budget you've already voted. So we always try to take care of it during the special town meeting, so it's not anything additional to the taxpayers.
So we
And I'm
didn't put it-
actually, again, trying to get that money from the leftover veterans benefits
Mhm.
at the end of the year, so it would not be added to the tax.
So
Cheryl?
we didn't put enough money into the snow and ice
We put
fund.
the same amount every year. We put about 177,000, if my memory serves me. One of the requirements by the state is in order to spend a deficit spend on your snow and ice, you can't bring that budget down. So 10 years ago, when I first started as the accountant, we separated out the snow and ice money. We figured out a number. We've kept it the same every single year. Most years we have money left over. Some years we go into a deficit and we make it up this way.
Because the only way to deficit spend is you can never bring that number down.
You cannot bring that number down.
Okay, so it has to be a 1978 number, something like that.
Right. You could bring it up, but then next year you can't bring it back down.
Right, right.
So,
But you can cross-fund it this way
right,
subsequently. Okay. To take care of your deficit.
right.
Questions or comments, guys? So let me ask for a motion then to contribute $15,000 to the snow and ice fund to satisfy a deficit that we had for this year.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Michael,
Yeah.
Todd,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
and myself is a yes.
As I said, probably for town meeting, I'll be able to bring that number lower, but I want to leave it at 15,000 because it's always harder to go up than down.
Sure.
The next article is for the FY22 fireworks. Last year, we did not fund this for the FY22 budget because she believed that the fireworks would be in July and we would use money from the new budget.
So no, we're doing it in June.
We're doing it the end of June. So therefore, we need the money appropriated for the FY22 budget. We're actually taking it from an article that had money left over, and she's asking for 3,300. This pays for the fire and police details.
Yeah, it's fine.
And we can take it from the roof fund?
Yep, we have extra money in that fund that's not being used. I did talk to Scott, and the money
Okay.
is available.
Okay, a motion to approve for Article 9.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Thanks. Okay, roll call vote. Michael,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
and myself is a yes.
All right, the next 4 articles are actually the articles that Scott Materna had presented
Mm.
for this year's, for the FY23 season.
Mm.
But because the pricing that he's gotten is all dependent on the sooner he can buy the materials, the lower the price is going to be.
Yeah.
The decision was made to move all of his articles to the special town meeting so that he would be able to start them sooner and not have to wait till July, because we are nervous that come July, these prices could all go up.
Sure.
So we have moved all these articles. He spoke to you about all of them.
He did.
There's
Yeah.
the roof and
Yes, it's the
exterior
roof.
wall repair on the old section of the town barn, the repair to the lower wall at the recycling center, the maintenance shop at the recycling center where they've moved the maintenance has moved their offices,
Right.
and the sound panel material that will actually be used for multiple buildings, not just the library.
Mhm.
I don't know if you want to vote them as a package or you want to vote them individually.
Vote them as a package, Tom.
Yeah, is there any objections? I don't want to, is there anyone on the committee that thinks a different view on any one of these, or are your views uniform?
It's fine.
Sounds like,
We can do it as a package.
okay. Then could I get a motion to approve Articles 10 through 13?
So moved.
Second,
Second? Great. Okay, and a roll call vote. Michael,
Yes.
Cheryl,
yes.
John,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
and myself is a yes.
Okay. So that's it for the articles.
Okay.
Um,
I think we are in, other than finalizing our letter, we're in good shape for town meet, which just in time. When are we going to press? Thursday?
And when's town meeting?
May 9th.
Okay.
Make sure you mark it on your calendar. We need everyone there.
Yeah, it's on mine.
It's my granddaughter's birthday. Is it on a Saturday?
No,
No.
it's a Monday. It's
Monday
always
night?
the second Monday of the month.
Oh, it's my granddaughter's birthday.
Oh,
Mm,
Okay, well, I'll do my best.
Yeah. But I mean, we have the votes. Cheryl, I understand. Granddaughters come first. Okay.
It's Jean Gallant. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course, Jean.
Thank
Oh, you
you.
came in incognito tonight. You're stealing somebody else's phone.
Yeah, that's my husband,
Mhm.
Paul, but no, it's my phone. But anyway, I've been trying to pay attention to all of this and I missed. In the past, we've always had that $300,000 cushion, if anything. happened in
Yeah.
emerg- Have we kept that this year or have we had to use it all?
We've dipped into it. Right now, we're dipped in. What is the number, Sandy? About $73,000 that we are
Into it, yeah.
shy of the $300,000 reserve. Here we are. So right now we're 73,128.64
Okay,
above our $300,000 reserve. So that's not a requirement, and it looks like where we stand right now, we may get some not forgiveness, but we may get some of that back just based on the conversation I've heard tonight, like on the on different things. But it looks like we'll be more in the 225 reserve this year.
okay. But then we can always like try to build that back up as we move forward.
We could try, but
Yeah, I
So
think the
this
larger
number
question is,
yeah.
I think the larger question, Gene, is how we're going to deal with gas prices, inflation, and supply chain issues next year. It's
Yeah.
not going to get better.
right.
Right.
This number
Yeah.
doesn't include the union negotiations, which is
Right.
usually comes from the operating
Oh,
budget.
wow.
Which could-
Okay,
Right, so that could further
Right.
deteriorate how much
It
of that
could.
we have to cut into
Mhm.
this year.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Gene. Next up on the agenda, I'm going to ask for public participation now, and then we'll go into executive session if so is there any, stop sharing your screen.
There you go.
Thank you. Good, now we're back to seeing everybody who's here. Okay, any other comments from anyone else who's joined us tonight? Any other business for the committee that we should discuss now? Okay, hearing none, then I propose that we adjourn general session and go to executive session so we can discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining that may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the town if we continue this way.
So executive session, we come out and we have to sign back in again? Is that how this
No.
works?
No,
No, we
So-
can, that's why I saved it to the end, Cheryl. We'll go into executive session now. We just stay here and Caesar can orchestrate the rest of that, and then we'll adjourn directly from executive session.
Okay. But I don't have to go out of this screen and come back.
No.
That's what I'm
No,
asking.
you're good.
Yeah.
You're good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Good night.
You have to do a roll call vote to go into
Oh,
executive.
I'm
session.
sorry. So motion to go into executive session
So moved.
And to adjourn from there. And to adjourn from there.
and to
And to
adjourn
adjourn,
from
yeah.
executive session. Okay, second.
Second,
Thank you. Roll call vote. Cheryl,
Yes.
Todd,
yes.
Michael, and John.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everyone. We will adjourn from general session, go into executive session, and then we'll adjourn.